What's good, everybody? We are back, and today I'm giving you guys my Giannis Antetokounmpo build. This is a big power forward build with super high finishing, good strength, still gets some ball handle, can shoot, and has insane defense. I've been dropping a ton of these player representation builds. I think this one really fits Giannis well. Real quick before we get started, drop a like, drop a sub, turn those noties on. We're going crazy all through 2K25. I promise you don't want to miss any of these videos, but without further ado, let's get into this build. All right, right into the physicals here. You already know we are going power forward for Giannis, 6'11", 244 pounds with a 7'7" wingspan. Again, like I say with all these player representation builds, I want it to be as close to the player as I can get while still being a viable option in the game. And trust me when I tell you this build will be able to dominate any game mode it's playing in. You could use this as a power forward in the rec. You could use it as a big man on the 2s or 3s in the park. It has enough ball handle. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but it does have enough ball handle. If you wanted to run this on the 1s, it could probably get the job done. Not much more to say about this though. Let's check out the finishing on this build. I already said it in the intro, but this build gets insanely high finishing. As you can see, we're going to go with an 80 close shot, 85 driving layup, 93 driving dunk, 81 standing, and a 75 post control on this build. Stick around to the end. I'm going to show you the dunk animations I'm using on this build to get the most consistent dunks and contact dunks. But this close shot is going to unlock us bronze paint prodigy, silver float game, and silver hook specialist. Any standing shots near the basket are going to go in on this build, especially with how tall and the wingspan we have. The 85 driving layup, you know Giannis is finishing layups through a lot of people. I wanted to make sure that we had that physical finisher on silver. We're also going to get Hall of Fame aerial wizard to toss down lobs, silver float game, and silver layup mixmaster. This is a higher layup than I have on a lot of my other builds. Make sure you guys are putting real player percentage layups on it, and you're going to make a ton on this build. Anybody smaller than you, you're going to lay it in over them every time. And the strength that we have on this build, people that are bigger than you, you're still going to bump into them and get a lot of contact layups. The 93 driving dunk is going to unlock us a ton of different driving contact dunk animations, but it's also going to get us gold posterizer. So if you are using that stick dunk or not, you're going to get a ton of contact dunks. The dunk on these taller builds this year is honestly super glitchy, especially with how good the hop steps and euro steps are. If you get those down, you're going to be an absolute menace in the paint. Getting onto this 81 standing dunk here, it does get us silver rise up. Rise up is one of my favorite finishing badges this year. It kicks in a lot, and the higher you have that, it really does make you dunk way more this year. Not only does it make it easier like the badge says, but the consistency of standing contact dunks instead of layups is crazy. I'm really noticing the difference on this build. 75 post control, obviously not something Giannis is super known for, just being a big, strong slasher, but we do end up getting silver post fade phenom, silver post powerhouse so we can back people down, bronze post up poet, bronze unpluckable. Wanted to make sure to get that bronze unpluckable on this build so that we're not getting ripped by guards all the time. And this is also going to contribute towards that silver hook specialist. These stats honestly speak for themselves. I've already said it. Very good finishing on this build. And don't forget, stick around to the end. I'll show you guys some dunk animations that I'm using. Not only are we a slasher though, we can also shoot. So let's check out the shooting on this build. Getting into the shooting here, we do end up getting an 80 mid-range, 73 point, and a 58 free throw on this build. This is a Giannis build, so we didn't want to go too high with the shooting, but we're definitely not going to be a liability either. You can still space the floor pretty well. With these ratings, we end up getting bronze dead eyes, silver post fade phenom, silver set shot specialist, and bronze shifty shooter. And having that mid-range at 80 will unlock us a ton of different jump shot animations. Centers in general have lower 3-point and mid-range ratings, so having this so high unlocks a ton of those taller bases. Once you get your badges and learn your jump shot, you're going to be knocking down super consistently, or as consistent as Giannis at least. 80 mid-range, more than enough to get the job done this year, and those badges that you get with that will help you shoot better. 70's a little bit low for the 3-pointer, but you'll still be able to knock them down, especially as a spot up if you're using rhythm shooting, which I haven't got too much into it this year yet, but a spot up and you get good with it, you can definitely shoot super consistently with these lower ratings this year. Not too much else to say about the shooting, but so far offensively this build is very strong. Let's get into the playmaking. And then right into the playmaking here, as you see, we get a 65 pass accuracy, 70 ball handle, and a 60 speed with ball. On these taller builds, you don't need super high ball handle to get some decent moves. Once you figure it out, they can honestly move pretty good, especially if you start using the go-to shots to get speed boosts out of, or the hop shots. You could be flying around in the 6'11" build. The 65 pass accuracy obviously doesn't look super high, but we do get bronze break starter and bronze dimer. And most of my builds don't have it much higher with that 71 rating, and it still throws pretty good passes. Obviously, you're not going to be slinging it all the way down the court every single time, but if you're playing 2s or 3s or even 5s, if you're making smart passes, it won't be a problem. This 70 ball handle rating also helps us get silver strong handle, which is very much a Giannis type badge. Pushing people off you, driving through the lane. It's a really fun badge to use this year, and you get some really unique animations the higher it is. 60 speed with ball doesn't get us any badges, but it is going to help get us some animations, like dribble styles and stuff like that. And it's also just going to help us move faster with the ball. Even if we don't end up getting the badge associated with it, the higher it is, the faster you're going to move with the ball. It's definitely worth upgrading this to a 60 on this build. And overall, I'd say it's some very solid playmaking considering we're 6'11" max wingspan. And this really isn't the highlight of the build. Getting into the defense here, this is the one area where I think it's a little bit low for showing how Giannis really plays. But we are still going to end up getting a 74 interior, 72 perimeter, 60 steal, and a 78 block on this build. Which the block and interior honestly feel a lot higher on this build because of how tall and our wingspan we have on this build. So yeah, these are the ratings, but it honestly feels a lot better in game. And we are going to end up getting bronze paint patroller, bronze post lockdown, silver off-ball pest, bronze challenger, silver immovable enforcer, which I've said it in all my videos, my favorite defensive badge this year. We're also going to get bronze interceptor. With how good interceptor is this year, bronze is honestly a very good bang for your buck badge. Super cheap on this build and very good to have. But we're also going to get silver pogo stick and silver high flying deniers, so you're going to be sending a lot of shots back. With how good the offense is and how insane our finishing is, I'm definitely fine with making these defensive ratings work. And it's not like they're bad, they're definitely still up there. We're getting plenty of stops, and we got a lot of defensive badges to back us up, so I'm not worried about it. We know how good Giannis is at defense in real life, and even if these stats don't fully show it, it plays like it in game. Trust me on this. And we get some rebound on this build, so let's check that out. Into the rebounding here, this year I am loving this 85 rating because you get gold box out beast, silver pogo stick, and silver rebound chaser. 85 feels like a great middle of the road rating. Giannis in real life isn't grabbing rebounds like a pure center, but we are still able to grab a lot of rebounds on this build. And this is an area I will probably be using my max +1 to get that to gold rebound chaser. Especially if you're using this build as a big in the park, you're going to want that at least gold to be able to compete with the other people that are running pure inside centers. Even if you don't use the max +1 there, you definitely won't be a liability, but that's what I'm going to do to make this build even better. Super well-rounded, and I also want to tell you I did go with the 85 offensive instead of the 85 defensive because it is cheaper and it unlocks the same badges either way. And a lot of the times, if you're going for defensive rebounds, you're already in good position. So the rating for a defensive rebound doesn't need to be nearly as high as the rating to get an offensive rebound. It's definitely the move this year. This is what I've been doing with all my builds. Trust me, don't waste the overalls putting that in defensive rebound. It's definitely worth it to go this way. Finally, the physicals, one of my favorite parts of this build. We get max speed, max agility at 73 and 63. And then we ended up going with an 83 strength. We honestly probably needed to go higher if we wanted to be exactly like Giannis, but 83 is going to have to get the job done because in the game, we still want to be able to run really fast. And going much higher on strength or putting our weight up anymore is going to make us slow, especially because we're 6'11". But we also do get this 80 vertical. If you watch any of my other videos, you know how much I love vertical this year. The finishing on this build that we have makes me want to get this vertical as high as possible to get more dunks and better animations. You also need an 80 to be able to get the contact dunk animations that come with the 93 driving dunk. And speaking of finishing, I didn't mention it earlier in the video, but we do end up having that 85 driving layup, which gets us silver physical finisher at the moment, but I am going to use my 5 cap breakers to get that driving layup to a 90 and get us gold physical finisher. It's really just going to help us make more and more layups. Anybody smaller or weaker than us, we're probably going to finish layups over them every time. These physicals help with a ton of different badges. I'm not going to go through and name them all again. But overall, we ended up with a super well-rounded, very good representation of Giannis. And we get a pretty cool build name, so let's check that out. All right, as you can see, we end up being an inside the arc threat, but people are going to see this build name and not think you can shoot, even though we do have that 80 mid-range and 70 3-pointer. Kind of a catfish name. I'm really enjoying this build. If you guys make it, I hope you like it. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Drop a like, drop a sub on your way out, and I will catch you in the next one.